wanted to make a quick video on the rigged rig. Um, I know the first thing you're going to notice is this aluminum case. Why do I have an aluminum case if I have an open air miner? Well, increased airflow, you can cool down your cards and get your PSU to run without needing to spool up the fan. And what this is doing is a lot of the air is coming in from here, it's coming in from the fans, coming in from this side fan. That fan is outputting air, and then I have two exhaust fans pulling air out the back, outside the room. What this does is it creates that flow in and out. I know you're gonna say, oh, heat rises. Yeah, okay, heat rises when air isn't being forced down and back. Heat does rise in its natural state, not when it's being forced through the machine. Anyways, now what I wanted to show is finally I have 9 cards running stable on this setup. And for anyone who doesn't know how to build or is confused on building, yes, you can use a normal PSU with the server PSU, as long as all of your risers, and your motherboard power, and all the power that is related to the motherboard and related to the risers is connected to the main PSU here. And I call this the main PSU because it's connected to the motherboard. This is also powering 2 GPUs, but it is also powering all the risers, like I said. And I don't know about going about using 2 power supplies to power different risers. I was told not to do it. I haven't done it, and it's worked well for me so far, so I'm going to stick with it. Now, the way this is being powered is, like I said, through the EVGA. It's a 1300 watt, and back there we got a HP server power supply that is a 1500 watt running off of a 240 volts. I'm using a step-up transformer for that, and that's mainly for efficiency. I was told it would run better, so I did it. Might as well do it if it'll run better. The next thing I'll probably get is just a 1200. The step up to a 240 was kind of excessive, but I kind of wanted to go all out on my first build, and this is my first build. It is a 9-card system, and if you can't see the other cards, it's because they are down here. Now, I would like to add that this is a frame force built for 6 cards. So originally I'm only supposed to have these top 6 cards on the frame, but who likes being lame and who likes doing boring builds, 6-card only builds, when you have a motherboard that could handle well over 6? So I decided to mount 1 card up here in the front, and yes, it is exhausting some heat up into this GPU, but nothing this 200mm fan can't fix, because these 2 are probably running the coolest on the whole rig. I have 2 fans running at excessively low fan speeds, and just to get an idea, 3.1 is 70% fan speed, 1.8 is probably 40 to 45, and then the 2.2 and above is around 50 to 60% fan speed. Now, saying that, yes, they are running very cool. My average right now is probably 48 Celsius for all the cards. My min card being these 2 running the coolest is, from what I remember, it's in the 40s. The max heat on these cards is 52. 2 of these cards are running at 52 Celsius pretty consistently. Of course, the temperature changes in the unit as the temperature outside changes because of the AC output in the room. When it's pumping cold air, the rig runs a little cooler. When it's pumping some hot air, the rig runs a little warmer, and if it's a few Celsius warmer, it's not a big difference. It doesn't cause any problems. The only thing it does cause is it causes this guy to work more often. EVGA PSU. The fan spools up more often when it's warmer in here, but it's not a big problem. I also do need to fix this guy back here came loose, so some of the heat's being exported into the room, and I need to seal up some of the cardboard. This is just rigged up for temporary use. I didn't want to buy anything permanent, as you know, it was mainly done just as a test for now, but it works really well, so I'll probably continue to do this. And that's it. As far as I know, I'm running Ethos. Clearly, if you didn't recognize the template or the interface, it is Ethos. It is very easy to use. Once you kind of get a hang of the interface, it's very easy to use. Yes, I do have this hard drive that has Windows 10 on it. I use Windows 10 to modify all the BIOS, because Ethos is kind of a pain for modifying BIOS, so I just didn't want to deal with it. Windows 10 is pretty easy. And another thing I should probably point out is on the Z, it's the P270. Yeah, the Prime 270A. That's the motherboard I'm using. And now when I used 2, it's going to be a little difficult to see here, but back here, see where that says ASUS on that white board right back there? That's a PCIe that is connected to an M2 slot right there on the right side. There's another one in the back. This version of the motherboard has 2 of those slots. And when I run both of them, the rig is very picky. The GPUs don't accept power tuning properly, and the 2 GPUs that connect to these M2 slots can only run efficiently on lower clocks. And it's kind of annoying because once I did connect my 9th GPU to that second M2 slot, the rig ran hotter. It didn't run as nice. It was pulling like 300 more watts because of it. Not because of the M2 slot, but because of the configuration that I had to use on the config files. The configuration required more power. I couldn't undervolt as much as I can now. What I did to solve that was use this nifty PCIe splitter right here. Now, the only reason I have 2 attached to it is because I don't want to overload this. I don't know how well this thing will do with 4. I haven't tried 4 GPUs on it. Probably won't try 4 GPUs on it. If anything, I will just order another splitter and hook it up to one of the 16 times lanes. Since this unit does have 3 16 PCIe lanes. When I mean 16, I'm talking about the PCIe lane size. There's the 16, and then there's the 1. The 1 is, from what I understand, considered to be where you would plug these guys into. This is what plug into your 1 times PCIe lane. Just imagine the tip of that 16. It's right behind the fan. It's kind of hard to see. Most of those are connected to the 1 times lanes. Now, as far as connectivity, I have 2 risers connected per line. 2 risers per SATA, 2 risers per Molex. I haven't had any problems with these lines melting. They are running quite warm, actually. But I've had this rig up for, it's going on 4 months now, maybe even longer. I'm just kind of feeling the temperature of these connections. I was told you can gauge the temp with a heat gun, with one of those heat thermometer guns. You point the laser at it and it tells you the temperature of the wire. That's good for measuring, definitely for measuring wire temperature. If you're worried about overdoing or I guess, using a wire that isn't up to par with the required voltage or the required energy from the GPU. But this setup seems to be doing just fine. If anything, the only thing I would change is indeed reduce the use of 2 GPUs on one SATA line, and get some more Molex connections on this thing, because it does have more slots, more free slots. I mean, just on this side alone, there's 5 extra slots available, and I know there's like 2 more Molex slots on this thing, and it didn't come with the wiring for it. At least I believe so. I remember there was kind of a shortage of Molex slots, and that was kind of annoying, or a shortage of the Molex wires. However, this seems to be doing good. And just for clarification, this PSU right here is pulling this much wattage, 745 watts. And now that also includes all of the fans. Yes, these fans too, and that fan back there, and this fan. And I have this other PSU running at 755. The reason I'm pointing over here is because I have them connected to 2 different breakers. I'm not talking about that as the breaker. I'm talking about the actual breaker back in the wall, the actual circuit, trying to lighten the load on the actual wall breakers. We do have 20 amp breakers, but again, it won't hurt to run 700 watts on that breaker on this side of the room, and then the 700 amps on the right side of the room. Mainly for efficiency and to prevent any fires. I don't know how the wiring is in this place, but prevention is always a big part of, you don't want your rig to fail, you don't want your rig to catch on fire, you don't want anything else to catch on fire, right? Basically where I was going with that is the rig pulls about 1,500 watts total, including all the fans, including the fans and the pulling air out of the room. That is, those fans back there, they run about 25 watts each. Pointing at, when I mean back here, I'm talking about these. They're about 25 watts each at the lowest setting, so I haven't run them at any higher. They're doing just fine where they're at now. And that puts this rig to make total, this is your net profit, at $14-15 at the current value of Ether. Remember this: current value, current mining difficulty, and my current overall hash rate, because all these will impact your profits, especially value of Ether, and especially mining difficulty, as we've recently seen with the fork update for Ethereum.